What's going on, everybody? My name is Ian and you're watching the Drive MX5 channel. And today I've got to work really hard to get this Audi back together. It's had a coolant leak the entire time that I've owned it. I finally put a pressure test system on it, figured out what the issue is, and so we just got to replace the heater core hose, which actually the one that it came with I think is fine. And this is the hose that was giving me problems with the coolant leak on this car. So you probably can't see back there, but there's a flange right back here behind my hand that the hose connects to, and then it runs up through the firewall behind this black panel here and then through the heater core. So I believe this hose is good because this is the only hole in it, and when I tried to blow pressure through it, this is the only place where it came out. I think the problem, as you could probably see, is that the previous owner did not put this back on properly. The hose clamp was kind of going through here, and so it left the hole exposed for coolant to go through and out this hole. So I'm going to try to do is see if I can fit this onto the flange back there better, get it like further onto the flange, and try to put the hose clamp somewhere around here. And if I have to, I can take an X-Acto blade and just cut around the hose so I can eliminate this hole altogether, and then hopefully this thing will not fail on me. If it does, I mean, it's worth a try considering a new one of these is $90. We've already got the coolant all drained out, so all I have to do is put the hose back on, put the hose clamps on properly, and then bleed the cooling system, and hopefully it'll be good to go. Well, the sun's almost completely down, and I think that we might have gotten the, well, we did get the heater core hose back on. We just got to put everything else back together and start the car, bleed the cooling system, and hopefully we won't have any leaks. Let me show you what we did. So as you can see back there, that's where the heater hose connects to the flange, and then it goes up through the firewall here. You see it connects, it goes through the firewall right down there. And so it's very important that you have one that has the right shape, because as you can see, it's got to weave its way all throughout there. So if you just have a normal piece of hose and you try to bend it yourself, there's a chance that it could probably kink, and then you have issues with flow, and then your heater core won't work, you might overheat. So I say always try to get the old one to work first. If looks like there's nothing wrong with it, just because, you know, the new one's $90. But even still, go with the OEM one just because you know it'll work and you know it'll fit in the right place. It'll save you time and hassle later on. So now that the heater hose is back on, all we have to do is put the reservoir back in. It's just two hoses, one here and one on the side there. We got to put that back in place. Rewire the ignition coils, make sure you plug those back in. I unplugged a bunch of things around here randomly just to try and move the wires out of the way, give myself access. So we got to plug those back in. We got to put the PCV pipes back in place, the intake, and then fill it up with coolant. So let's get to it. As you can see, the engine's all back together. We got the coolant reservoir on, all the wiring's done, all the PCV valves and vacuum lines are reconnected. So you got to put on like little plastic trim pieces and put the air box assembly back on. But for now, we're going to go ahead and start the car to get the cooling, or the coolant rather, going through the engine, through the radiator and the heater core. Get all the air bubbles out of the system and make sure the level stays consistent and that there's no leaks. And if that's the case, then it should be good to go. All right, now that we got the car on, we gotta go ahead and do the bleeding of the cooling system. Oh, forgot to plug in the sensors. You can see the coolant light just came on. So you gotta plug in the sensor on the bottom of the reservoir here. Now that's plugged in, now the car should run right. Oh yeah, you can hear it made a difference in the idle. It's idling a lot nicer now. Let's go ahead and check where the coolant's at. Probably need to go ahead and add more. And then for these Audi cars, because they have the all aluminum engines, you gotta use the pink or purple G12 or G13 coolant. So this is a good sign. As you can see, there are air bubbles coming out of the system right now, just like that. So it looks like the thermostat might have opened up, the level's hopefully dropping. Where, as you can see, I squeeze this hose here, try to get some of the air, suck some of the coolant in. So I think it's good, working fine. The temperature looks good right now. Car's not really overheating. Everything feels good. So fingers crossed that this works out nicely. And I'll have to take it for a test drive in order to really make sure that the system's up to par. But so far it's looking good. Alright guys, so we just got back from the test drive, and man is it so good to have this car back up and running. She just sounds so good, she's so fast, and I really think that this worked. As you can see here, the coolant looks very good. Might need to add a little bit, but it's like pretty much right in the middle there. So coolant levels are looking awesome. Did not overheat at all, and I did floor it a little bit. And as we can see, there's no coolant leaking underneath the car. So it's been about 2 days since I fixed the coolant leak on the Audi. I went about 50 miles round trip to and from work yesterday and a few miles around town today, and I think that the coolant leak is finally fixed. So as you can see, the coolant level in the reservoir is still right where we want it to be, right in between the min and the max lines. There's no drips on the ground. When you come over here, there's no spots of coolant leaking on the ground. So fingers crossed. I think that this repair is good, and then now we can tackle that AC problem. So I know this was a short video. I was in a big hurry 2 nights ago to try and put the car back together so I could get to work, so I wasn't able to film a whole lot of the disassembly and actual repair of the coolant leak. But I hope this video is helpful to some of you that may have an S4 or thinking of buying an S4 with the same issue. I know when I tried to look up videos and whatnot of coolant leaks on S4s, and I couldn't find many videos of the S4s. Tons of videos are online of the A4s, but their coolant routing is a little bit different. It still gave me an idea of what to look for, but hopefully this will be a little bit more relevant to you fellow S4 owners. So again, I hope this video helps. If it did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button to keep up with all the latest videos that I post, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.